Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Sealed for Good. I'm your host Shandy. Today we'll be looking at our number one performer when it comes to the primer category, which is of course Gripset E60. Hope you enjoy. So today we're tackling Gripset E60, 2-component water-based epoxy primer that's perfect for your moisture problems if you're dealing with damp surfaces or rising damp. This is the guide you need. So step one, it's all about keeping safe out there, making sure you have the appropriate materials and tools. So of course you're going to need Gripset E60, part A and part B. Make sure you actually do have one of each. You'll need a mechanical mixer with the paddle attachment, a medium nap roller. You can use a squeegee to apply the product as well. You'll need some clean mixing pails. A wet film gauge is critical. And of course, all your PPE, gloves, and you always want to have some sort of ventilation. So step two, surface prep. So once you've got all your equipment and material together, the next step is, as always, the most crucial, which is surface preparation. Remove all loose materials. You want to get rid of any old coating, any surface contaminants, things like oil and grease. You know, the surface can be damp, but you don't want to have any standing water. So if you touch that surface and that water does transfer to the palm of your hand, then it's not suitable to be applying the E60. You need to mop that up. As I mentioned, I'll say it again, damp is okay, no standing water. From there, you're ready to mix the product. It's crucial to follow the TDS to the T. Otherwise, you may have inconsistencies in the performance and also in the curing of the product. You want to stir both part A and part B separately first. Make sure it's all homogeneous. And then you want to mix equal parts of part A and part B by volume. And then from there, you want to use a mechanical mixer at a low or medium speed. You want to mix for about 3 minutes, and then you want to let it stand just to let those resins activate. And then from there, you can use the product that you've mixed up of a window of about 1 to 2 hours. So you always need to consider your environmental conditions. Hotter temperature, it's going to cure a lot faster. In the cooler temperatures, it's going to take a lot longer. And then step 4, is the application. So there are numerous or a variety of applications that you can use the Gripset E60 once it's mixed. So the first one is quite a popular choice for materials like James Hardie Sky-On, where they just want to promote adhesion of the surface. So for that purpose, just to promote adhesion, to get that really solid bond to that surface, and then a nice primer coat to then apply your membrane, then you only really need to apply it at one coat at 100 microns. So the product does go a long way for this type of purpose, and it also does accelerate the curing time. Great choice as an adhesion promoter at 100 microns. E60 is suitable for that purpose. From there, if you apply a full coat, which we consider a full coat at 300 microns, that is the perfect layer for a vapor barrier. So wait for that to dry, and then from there, you can apply your overlay. And then if you do have issues with rising damp, then you want to apply 2 full coats. Let the first one dry at that 300 microns I mentioned earlier, and then apply a second coat at 300 microns. And then from there, the primer will protect from rising damp and even negative hydrostatic pressure. So again, we do advise that you check out our new and updated TDS. There are some other details that are included there for a couple of other applications, like using the E60 as a fillet mortar, and also the detail for direct tiling, applying a third coat or a second coat, depending on how you're using the primer, and then sand casting to create that key for your adhesives. So for best results, as I touched on before, is just making sure that the environmental conditions are going to be suitable. So anything between 10 to 35 is generally fine to apply the product, but you do need to take note that at those lower temperatures, it will increase the time needed to allow that product to dry. After all, it is a water-based epoxy. The water component does need to evaporate to a certain point before the epoxy will actually react. It is critical to try and create some sort of stability in your application environment. So once you've applied as per your required application, consider avoiding direct sunlight when you're applying the Gripset E60, as you don't want it to flash cure, and you also don't want to exceed the pot life. If it does start to thicken or make it hard to apply, you're best to discard it and mix up a new batch. So the other feature of Gripset E60 is that it's almost white in color. This makes it much easier to then inspect for any defects. pinholes are going to stand out, and it gives you the opportunity to then address these issues before then applying the final coat of membrane. This is critical because any defects or any pinholing in that E60 surface will generally guarantee some sort of moisture sort of wanting to escape as it's following the path of least resistance, creating a pinhole or even a blister. So always inspect before you apply your final coats of membranes. Remember, always mechanically mix, check surface prep thoroughly, maintain correct coverage rates, allow proper curing times, and keep good ventilation throughout. E60 can withstand 25 meters of head water pressure when properly applied with that 2 full coats. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Until then, happy waterproofing. Massive shout out to Nick and Jane's Membranes for this awesome time lapse of their application of the Gripset BT Rapid. Thank you very much. You are Gripset Applicator Spotlight of the Week.